All right, folks. One of the things that I love doing is interacting with the best of the best. And Beth, of course, is that top 1% agent in the country. Why is that? It's because when you give them homework assignments, they actually do it. So Beth was gracious enough to accept the homework assignment of looking back at King County data right out of the MLS. We will make sure we give them credit because this is
Yeah.
their data. But we are going to look back at November, December, January, and February and see if we can watch a market change. I think we're going to go from glacial to heating up, but we will see what the data says. Beth, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Mike. So nice to be back here again this week. Thank you very much. It's always a highlight of my week and fun to chat with you and
Yeah.
connect with everybody here.
I don't know if you saw it, but the other day, just out of nowhere on the daily financial news, I asked the audience, "Who's your favorite weekly millionaire?" And your name was thrown around quite frequently. So
Oh, that's so
congratulations to you.
nice. I love
Yeah,
that. That
yeah, the
makes my
audience
day.
audience
Yeah,
really loves you. So
nice.
without further ado, Beth, let's see what you have, and I can ask all the questions I have.
Let's do it. Let me share a screen here, guys, and let me know how this works because I know I can see it, but I never know if you can. But
I can, and
not
it's
looking
sized
good.
correctly. Yep, perfect.
Okay, so again, this is from the Northwest Multiple Listing Service. So that's the MLS in our area. So it's from directly from the data source. This is the most current one from February that we chatted about last week, and you had wanted to kind of scroll back a little bit in months to see what was happening leading up to this. So let me know where you'd like to start. I know you are the spreadsheet master. So
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So the first thing I want to do, because this is our show, I want to look at active listings. So
yeah,
active listings at the end of February for the King County was 1,400.
yep, down here at the bottom left, all
Yeah, so
King County.
that's okay. So there's two things. So total active were 1,488 and new 1,404. Right? Am I reading
Yes.
those correct?
Yes, you're correct. And I
Okay.
should tell the audience this is for the Seattle area, King County, which is a Seattle area residential only. So,
Residential only. So
yeah.
I would love to go back to November
Yeah.
and see
Bear
where
with me
we
while I
were.
scroll up to the top here. They changed the format a tiny bit here, but not much, just the color coding. So down here you can see in November. So in our market, this is when it starts to get really quiet is
Yeah,
around the
winter slows
holidays,
down.
right?
Yep.
So this data came out in December, so we're
Right.
looking at holidays slow. And then down here that the total inventory was 2694.
So that's
And
important.
then
Again, just sorry to, but this is stuff I'm looking for. So again, if we look at active inventory in November,
mhm.
it has fallen roughly 50% in 4 months.
So this is so we're starting at the 2694,
Basically
right?
2,700.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now you're at 14.
Yeah. So let's look. Okay, so now so that was
So okay, we go from
yeah.
20. I'm going to write them down. We go from 2,694 in November, total active listings.
Yeah.
Okay. What was December?
December we got 1881.
So you're going down. Okay.
Yeah.
January,
1652,
1652.
1488.
So again, this is what I was hoping to see in these numbers because I don't know where these numbers are going, but basically Q4 was frozen. Again, one of the things that I've educated my audience on is in November, we still had what I call wish pricing. There was people that were listing, they were saying, I'll move if I get this number, else I'm staying. I think we're seeing what happened over 4 months. Some of that stuff age out, right? Canceled,
Yeah.
expired, withdrawn.
Mhm.
But we're also seeing a market where supply isn't coming. So the next thing I want to do, that's active. Let's go
Yeah.
back. Let's go back and look at November, or I'm sorry, November new listings because
Yeah.
we got down to 1,400 or 1,404. Where did we start?
New listings. So it was
Okay, so
1269. This
got it.
column right here, new listings.
Yep.
And it's interesting how it's still up decent amount year over year, but it was so low on
Yeah.
2021 that you have to look at it in perspective.
Right.
New
Ooh,
listings.
701.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
1329.
1329. Okay. All right.
1404. But remember now our market heats up in January, so we should
Yeah.
be seeing a lot more than this right now. Like our spring happens in winter, honestly. So
Yeah.
January, February is when we typically see the inventory bump. happened. I'm still waiting. That's the big story right now.
Yeah.
Is we're all just everyone's just sitting around waiting for houses to come on the market,
Yeah.
and we're just not seeing them.
So then the other thing I want to do is I want to do a ratio, because in this month you have 1,404 new listings and your total activity is 1,488. I don't know how else you cut it, but that's a month of supply.
Yeah. Down here
Okay.
in the lower right, you can see for the
Oh, there
all
it
of
is.
King County, it's 1.34.
Okay. So now, so 1.34, that's a good number. Let's look at that. So where did it go back in November?
It was 2 months back in November down in the bottom right. And sorry, I'm
Yep.
trying to stop certain things from popping up on the screen here that might get
You're
in the way
doing
of our
great.
numbers.
You're
So
doing
I'll try not to move the cursor. But yeah, so in all King County is the bottom line here. And you can see it was 2 months of
Yeah, the
inventory.
bottom right. Yep.
And at that point, the year over year was still slightly positive. I'm seeing some interesting things in the price trends too
Yep.
that we might want to talk about on this, but
Yep.
I'll
We'll
kind
go
of
to
follow
that
your lead
next.
on the spreadsheet here.
Because I think it's all about inventory, and we're starting to see
Mhm.
it now, I think. So again, in November, you had 2.05 months supply. Where do we go in December?
1.65,
Okay. Where do we go
and
next?
then it bumped up to 2 in
Okay.
January, 2.1,
Okay.
and then down to 1.34. So the
Oy.
buyers came out in January like they always do in the Seattle area and snatched up a lot of the what little supply there was.
So this is frightening to me. Again, as somebody who wants to kind of see the normal housing market come back.
Right.
Nothing I'm seeing here over this 4-month trend makes me feel good. If normal is the goal. The
Not
inventory is not
normal.
coming, but demand
Hmm.
is there. Demand is there. It
Yeah.
just is. I mean, these numbers
Yeah.
show it. So okay.
Yeah.
So now
One
let
thing I wanted to
go ahead.
show, sorry if I may
No, go
so
ahead.
just point something
Please.
out here that I find interesting. So I work on the east side primarily. And so every time I move, this stuff pops up. So I'm going to try not to move it. But down here by the bottom, you see that it says east side.
Mhm.
And it says year over year price
Yep.
21% down.
Yep.
So this year it's 1.34 million 340, and last year it went to just under 1.7. But if you look at this year, like at the one in January it was 1.32, December 1.299, 1316. I'm looking at this number right here, the current price in the east side. So what happened was the prices have remained pretty consistent in my neck of the woods for the last 4 months,
Yep.
right around the 1.3, bouncing between
Correct.
1.299 and 1340. But
Correct.
what happened was that makes it look like some catastrophic crash was last February. It jumped from, let's see, in January, and the median price was 1,515. And then this year, last year, it jumped from 1,697 in 1 month. So it went from 1,515,000 average price to, median price to 1,697, just under 1.7 in 1 month. It went up close to 200,000.
I
And that's
remember.
when we're seeing those bidding wars spike. And so now it's settled back down to that around that 1.3 and just kind of staying there right now.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
prices just dropped 21% from last month or even 3 months ago. It all happened a while ago, and we're just kind of riding along this kind of steady pace.
Yeah. No, I
So
agree. And the beauty of our playlist is people can go back to our discussions a year ago, and you were highlighting, Michael, this is not normal. This, when you get people 200, 300, 500 over waving EMDs, something's wrong.
I
And you
saw
told
things
us
that
this
really
was
made it
coming.
hard for me to sleep at night. People taking huge risks with hundreds of thousands of dollars of released cash to the seller and things that
Yeah.
should never have happened.
No, totally agree. So you told us this was coming. So yeah, I think that's right. Again, it looks catastrophic, but you got to pay it back. You had a couple of months, and they're just here now where the price bumped. In 2 or 3 months, the year over years will be a very different story. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
going to level out once we get to around July, August. That's when we started to see things correct in my
Yep.
area.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So that's cool.
yeah.
So the next thing I want to do, we just talked about listings, and the answer there is new listings aren't coming, and what is coming is getting sold. My summary.
Yep.
Now let's go to pendings.
Mm-hmm.
So pendings for 2023 were 1,500 in February. Where did we go back in November?
Yeah,
And
let's take a look here.
I love how
So
you did this too, because it allows me
yeah,
to just see the story like
let's
in real
go. So
time.
we'll start at the beginning here. So in
Yep.
November, it was 1,243 pending,
Okay.
which was down 41%, by the way, year over
Yep.
year.
Yep.
And then
Ooh.
931.
So really
And
got slow. Q4 got slow, like we've
mhm,
talked about.
yep. And then
Okay.
pendings went to 1397, which was
About
exactly
even
the
last
same as it
year.
was a
Yep.
year over year.
Exactly.
And then
Okay.
the most recent one, 1,514, where last year it was higher. So we are down about
But you have
23.
no inventory.
I
You can't
know.
have both, Beth. I'm sorry. You can't have a pending without a house. It's not how it
I
works.
know. Yeah, you gotta that is always true. You must have a house to have a pending sale.
It just doesn't work
That
the
is
other way.
never gonna change. Yeah.
Yeah, but what this shows me here is you know your market. You told us months ago, Michael, we go into hibernation November and December, and we percolate January, February, probably 2 months before most of the country.
Yeah.
And
We get a head start.
as expected, that's exactly what happened. So nice work. Now let's look at closed. Because
Yes.
again, a pending doesn't mean closed. So let's go back to November
Mhm.
and roll through the story, if you
Let's
don't
do
mind.
it. Okay. So close, we're looking at, so this first column in the blue here down at the bottom here, 13. I'm sorry. Oops, I've got to stop moving that cursor.
It's okay.
It was 1,312. So down 44% year over year.
Yep.
And then
Oh,
1137.
okay. Market's frozen. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, January.
785.
That makes sense, right? Because pendings come after going into escrow.
Yes, this
This,
was
this
going pending over the holidays.
right. This one
Closed.
needs to jump, I'm guessing. Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh, a little bit. Okay.
Still down 10% year over year, but not as much as they were down.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see March when that comes out in a couple of weeks
Oh,
or
I
3 or 4
know. I
weeks.
know. It'd be
Okay.
really interesting to see.
All right. Now let's get back to the median price, which is really the last thing for
Yeah.
all of King County.
Right. So we're looking at this column here, right under where it says closed sales, median,
Yep.
down at the bottom there for all
Yep.
King County.
Yeah. It says 827 is where I'm looking.
Yeah. 827 down the bottom toward the right.
Okay.
825.
Flat.
781 down
Ooh,
in
that's down.
January.
That's
Yep.
down.
And then back up to 8. So, which is still down. So we're a little bit down.
Yeah.
It is 6.73% down year over year. But there's a
Yeah,
lot of
but
variation in these different segments. If somebody's looking at this who's in the King County, Seattle area,
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to look at this and with the lens of your own little corner of the market to see your
Yeah.
own
So
buy box, what's going
this
on.
is February. Yeah, this is February. So I'm actually looking at February, the second column from the right. All of those are negative. Are there any positives? Oh,
I don't
there's
think there's
one
any
positive.
positives this month. I know.
520.
Oh wait, there's one in the most
520.
expensive area. Where it went
Of
from
course.
it went from 3,750,000 to 3,919. It went up 4.5%. But there's probably
Yeah,
only
10 sales.
small
Yeah,
handful
10
of
sales.
sales. Yeah,
10.
so one big sale can skew that.
Yeah, it's funny. But other than that, King County, Seattle area is down, which
Yeah.
which is going to be interesting because we uncovered at the beginning of this, listings are down, pendings or the ratio are up. So it's going to be wild. And I think the other thing you taught me, you were the very first person that taught me this in the numbers, is 6%'s the number, right? The first time we broke 6%, which I think was in like August, you're like, Michael, the phone stopped ringing.
Yeah.
Then we come back, then we do it again in November, right? We end up going over 7. Then we come back in early February, sub 6. Then we go over 7. Now we're at 6.5 or thereabouts. I think there's a reasonably good chance that rates go sub 6 sometime in the next couple of months, right into the spring selling season. And as we uncovered here, you have no inventory.
Yeah. I think that we're going to have this inventory crunch for some time now. I'm not seeing any sign of it changing. I mean, I'm still working with sellers, bringing listings on the market. But
yeah, so let's talk about that. Who is
Yeah.
selling? It's got to be people that are selling and leaving the area, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So should I stop the share here or
Sure.
we?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can just rip.
So what I'm seeing is the people that are selling now are usually people who have a typical seller would be somebody who already has purchased a house somewhere else, and it's often out of the area. So, and it may not be the type of house that they want to keep as a rental for various
Yeah,
reasons. And a lot of
sure.
times they're looking to retire or soon. They already are retired or looking to retire soon, and they're a lot of their retirement nest egg is wrapped up in the equity of their home because they purchased it 30 years ago, and the
Yeah.
value is 4+ times,
Yeah.
many multiples of what they paid. So they're using that to fund their retirement, and they're purchasing usually cash
Right.
elsewhere.
Yeah. They're not interest rate sensitive or sensitive.
No,
They're not selling a 3 and getting a 7. They're like, I'm selling this, rolling the money in the next thing, not having a mortgage payment. So no interest rate sensitivity.
right. And their life goes on, and they don't want
Yeah.
to sit around waiting for rates to go down because it makes no difference to them. Like and they're most sellers that I'm working with now are pretty realistic about what the market's doing. They pay attention to the headlines, they pay attention to what they see going on around them in the neighborhood. So nobody I haven't talked to anybody in a while that still thinks prices are where they were a year ago. It
Good.
seems like everyone's pretty realistic about that, but in most cases, the prices have adjusted a bit where they're going to. So it
Yeah.
makes sense for them. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of who I'm working with.
And the key to me in all of that is that's a very certain seller. There's not a lot of those aging
No,
into retirement years. It's very slow. The move up by, I mean, are you seeing? I'm guessing you're seeing some, but what traditionally is a move up buyer where you get a listing and a purchase in your area in King County, that's got to be way down. I'm guessing.
it's way down. It's way
Yeah.
down. We're not seeing very much of that at all. And that's what's contributing to this inventory crisis, like we've been
Exactly. They're
talking
staying
about for
put.
all this time. It's real, folks. It always comes down to real people and their real stories.
Real people making
People
real
aren't just
decisions.
numbers.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're people with their circumstances and their own life situations, and they're just looking at their options and weighing them out. And I have talked to some people who are considering doing a move up,
Yeah.
and oftentimes they'll decide to not do it. But if they're moving out of the area, that seems to be the thing where you and I were wired to hold properties as
Yeah.
investments and think
Right.
about the mortgages and the low fixed rate mortgage as an asset.
Yep.
Most people aren't wired that way, and they don't necessarily want to. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with anybody that wants to do that. I'm all about it, but
Right.
a lot of people just aren't interested in that because that's not what they do, and they're
Mhm.
not thinking that way, and they want that equity for their next house almost 100% of the time. They need to roll that equity into something else.
So this is my last question because I think the biggest takeaway from this is your inventory in King County is down 45%. I just did the math. It's in November, it started at 2694 and is currently at 1488.
We're talking a
It,
2 million population area. This is a major
14.
metropolitan area.
Do you
And
remember a time? Was there a time in 2020 or 21 where you had that kind of inventory levels?
there might have been a couple of months there. I have to go back and look. You know what? That's a good question. Maybe next week I'll have that data, but
Yeah, because I actually think it's not. I don't
I
think
don't
you got
recall
to
it ever being this. I don't
because
recall
you
it being
had
this
rates
low.
low and you had a lot more move up buyers 2 years ago. I'm going to
Yeah.
sell my little shack and buy the McMansion.
There was like a 2-month time period where we couldn't leave our house to sell a house, and that made it pretty dang difficult to, like, if you couldn't send a mover to move the people out, like, how can you sell a house? Like,
Yeah.
escrow was closed. What do you do? The
Yeah, I
courthouse
remember.
closed.
I
So what do
remember.
you
Yeah.
do? So that there was like maybe a 1-month time frame when everything was just
Yeah.
like
Where the
frozen
economy was
because
shut down. But
we
yeah,
physically couldn't do anything.
I
So
remember.
that, barring that, I would say no, because as soon as it freed up again a little bit, it was just like, it was like matched to the,
It's
kindling.
kindling. Yeah. The kindling's soaked in gasoline.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a huge takeaway. 1488 for a population of that size.
We're talking all prices, vast
That,
area. King County is huge.
and oh, by the way, in 1488, I keep reminding people, you probably have, this is my guess, not yours. I'm going to wild ass guess to say 20% of that is wish pricing still. They haven't reset. It's 100 days on market. The seller's gotten 7 offers, but they won't take a penny less. So if you take 20% off of 1488, you've got like 1,100 real listings.
Yeah. Yeah. Look for those ones that have the wish pricing. Actually, I kind of like those, and the ones that aren't
Take a
prepped
shot.
right. The
Yeah,
ones that
take a
have
shot.
the ugly carpet, that's so easy to fix. It's amazing how many buyers will just totally write off a house that needs a little bit of elbow grease.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, Beth, do me a favor. Somebody want to buy or sell or just network at the best of the best. How do they follow you?
Yeah, so they can find me at bethtraversogroup.com, and my name is spelled on the screen here. And I want to say also, if somebody's looking for an agent anywhere in the country, I have an amazing network of fantastic rock star agents. So reach out to me and I can connect you with somebody in your area. But yeah, I'm easy to find here in the ORAT group, but one rental at a time, or just Google me. I'm everywhere. So
There you go. Thank you so
all right,
much.
thanks.